Greetings! Welcome back to Minecraft. This is a mob switch. I currently have 2 of them. And what they do is fill up Minecraft's mob cap by chunk loading 70 shulkers, which restricts new hostile mobs from spawning anywhere in the dimension the switch is in. This creates a sort of pseudo-peaceful mode, which is very nice when I'm just trying to relax and build something without getting constantly harassed. Okay, what the fuck? But there's a problem. Sometimes in order to operate large redstone machines or farms, I need to employ the help of the Wilds bots, a creation of my own to assist me in the world since I don't have any friends. But because the bots technically count as normal players, whenever I use them, the mob cap increases, which breaks the 2 switches I currently have. So, to solve this problem, I simply need to make the mob switches bigger. So I'm gonna build 3 towers, 1 for each dimension, with a massive mob switch inside, so that I can turn my hardcore world peaceful anywhere at any time. And we'll start here in the overworld first. I don't want to build it here though with the old one because I think it'll mess with the composition of the city that I want to put here in the future. So I was thinking just over here at the top of this mountain is a perfect spot, like right here. I have this cool idea for a bridge that goes from the city here all the way to the center of what's going to be the mega base over there by that mesa. And so building the tower on the left here is perfect because it doesn't really get in the way of the view. But what does get in the way is this mountain here. So first things first, we got to prep the area for the build. And we'll do that by knocking down this entire mountain. I think I'll start at the top here by just removing stuff by hand. So let me set up a beacon really quick. Okay, and I'll start by taking down all the trees and then like these jagged parts that kind of stick out. Okay, honestly, just taking off that little peak part here is probably good enough. I think what I want to do now is build a TNT bomber that goes back and forth and can kind of just cut away the rest of the mountain. Doesn't really matter if it makes too much of a mess because I can just, polish it up at the bottom. But mainly, I just want to get rid of this whole thing as fast as possible. I'll take what we mined up back to base and we'll grab the materials we need to build it. And now I'll build the machine so it kind of covers the entire mountain. Okay, and then to start it, we just got to do this. Now what this is going to do is kind of get the first layer, and then as it moves a little bit, I'll build a second machine to cut the rest away. But for now, I'll just remove this beacon. And now I just babysit this machine and polish the terrain as I go until we get this entire thing removed. Okay, we're making good progress. While this continues to cut away at the mountain, what I'm gonna do is take a bunch of the stone that I've gotten from cutting away the top here, and I'm gonna carve a walkable path from the bottom, somewhere down here, I guess, all the way up the side of the mountain to the top. Because right here is where I wanna build the mob switch spire, and I wanna be able to kind of walk down the mountain from it all the way down here, so in the future I can kind of integrate it into, a full city and all that. But obviously it's a very strangely shaped mountain, so it's gonna be kind of weird to do. So I'm just gonna make stone stairs and try to plot a course before building out anything actually detailed. I started by clearing out all the trees at the top of the mountain and flattening the space down so I would have room to build. I built a rough outline of how big the switch is gonna be and cut away a little bit more of the mountain to make room for the walkway. Like I said, I'll just use stone stairs to start because I wanna make the shape of the path before adding in all the details. When I was happy with the shape, I decided to fix up the bombed out terrain by placing a bunch of dirt so the grass could spread around and grow while I detailed everything. Okay, we're almost done here. We have completely destroyed this mountain and replaced the bottom with dirt. Now all I want to do is kind of just go around with bone meal and try to make the terrain look as naturally generated as possible. So I'll throw in some jungle trees and I just want it to look completely natural. Okay, that's everything covered with grass, but I also want to plant these little fern things too. They don't grow naturally with the bone meal, so to get a bunch of them, I've got a super basic setup I think that I can just do like this. And then with some shears, I should be able to place this, turn this on, and then do this, right? Yeah, there we go. And I'll just get a bunch of these. Okay, we'll start with this and then just get more if I need it. I dotted a bunch of ferns across the terrain, and they got to work planting jungle trees and doing the best I could to replicate the natural jungle. It's not as dense as the naturally generated terrain would be, but I was happy with how it looked, so I stopped here. Okay, I think this should do it. I think this looks natural enough. I've got the general path up to the top of the mountain here done too. It reaches all the way to the top, and now we just gotta detail it. So let's take down this TNT bomber. And now I'll take this down and we'll just take all this stuff back to base. I picked up a lot of stuff while tearing down that mountain. Jesus. Let's put it all away in storage. Okay, and now for the path up top, I kind of want to detail it so it looks similar to these walls here. I think I got a bunch of those materials right here. Yeah, these have been sitting here for months. Pick up all this stuff, put it all here. Okay, we'll start with some andesite and I'll just make a little trim on the edge here to start. Okay, that looks good. Now, let's see here. Now, every 12 blocks here, I'll make like a column of smooth stone to kind of section out the bridge. Then with that outline done, I built out a rim of sea lanterns to light up the path and filled all the empty space with a stone andesite gradient. Okay, looking good. Just one more thing I want to do here before we're done with this walkway. Let's put away all this stone stuff, and we'll grab some stuff to build some more details out on the walkway. We'll start with some extra detailing in the floor here with some lodestones like this. Okay, that's good. I'll line the walkways with some andesite stairs as well. Okay, and then I'll also throw in some cracked stone bricks as well, just to add a little bit of variation here. Okay, and then finally, the last thing I want to do to this bridge itself is build up some lamp posts like this. Do that. 2 fences. This. Boom. And I'll just put these all the way up to the top. All right, there we go. Looks good. Now, 2 little things I want to do. I want to put one of those beacon pylons here, just like the ones that we have littered all over the base. So let me grab the materials for it, and I'll build it up really quick. All right, that looks good. Let's get rid of this little stone thing here for now. I'll just leave this as the bottom of the stairs. Okay, now that pretty much does it for what I want to do over here. So we can get started building the spire now, but one more thing, very last thing, is over here, we have a creeper farm, shulker farm, and my raid farm. Now, I play on 32 chunks of render distance, so this creeper farm is not going to work when I build the spire, since it's going to be loaded in from this distance. Plus, I have the gas farm, so I really don't need it anyway. And then this raid farm over here just straight up doesn't work. It hasn't worked for like almost a year now. So let me quickly destroy both of these things just to get them out of the way because they're kind of an eyesore. Okay, done. And that didn't take me like 40 days or whatever. I was AFKing my gas farm overnight to record a YouTube short. Anyway, with all the terraforming done, the old farms removed, and the stairs built up to our mountain here, now we can finally build the mob switch. Now, it's gonna work just like our old one. It's just a bunch of shulkers loaded up with a chunk loader. But instead of 70 shulkers, to make sure that it works with the bot still, this one will use 432. Yeah, that's a lot. And I'm sure you're wondering, how am I gonna do this so it doesn't take 100 years? But don't worry, I have a plan. I'll get the shulkers here from my shulker farm, and how this farm works is in the overworld, a bunch of shulkers get duplicated, come through this portal, and teleport onto this platform here, where usually there's a minecart rolling around, which then dispenses the shulker onto this powdered snow block so it can die. But I can redirect this rail to go wherever I want. This is how I did it for the one over there and the one in the overworld. So by using this and building a redstone machine along with some chunk loaders, I can automatically dispense minecarts on a timer, get a shulker, and send it to the overworld, where I can then load it in one after the other and basically fill up the entire switch automatically. So yeah, I think that's a good plan. But it's gonna take a good bit of setup because I basically have to build a giant spiraling track of rail up into the sky in order to be able to, you know, load the shulkers in. So let's grab all the materials I'm gonna need for that. It's just a ton of white glass, netherrack, normal and powered rails, redstone blocks, and redstone torches. It's simple to build, but there's just a lot of blocks. All right, we got all of our materials, so let's put them all down here. And I'm gonna build the mob switch kind of floating in the air a little bit because it's gonna be inside of the decorative tower that I'm gonna build around it. So we need to start kind of high up off the ground. Okay, that's the first layer done. Now I just need to build 26 more of these all the way up. This is probably gonna take a while. Okay, so we're all done with the loading array for the switch. So now what we need to do is we need to connect a nether portal from my shulker farm in the nether to the switch in the overworld. All right, let's grab some obsidian, some flint and steel, and we'll find the nether coordinates of this block here. Okay, 17,110. Oh, so I gotta go pretty far, actually. I connected the portal up to the minecart track, and now I should pretty much be good to start building up our little system. Now, the problem here is if I mess up or get hit by a shulker bullet or something and I can't reposition the rails in time, then I very, very quickly screw myself and have to reset the whole thing. So I gotta lock in here. I grabbed the materials needed to set up the hopper clock and crafted up 16 shulker boxes of minecarts to load the switch. Then I set up the timer with a bunch of chests for the carts and summoned a wild spot to keep the nether loaded since I'll be in the overworld. Whew, okay, now to start the process, just turn on the shulker farm with this switch. And now the shulkers should start filling up this platform. Although I think they're gonna fill up here first because this is like the backup for the farm. Okay, now I just start the hopper clock like this, and the shulkers should begin coming through one at a time. There we go, that's one. Now I repositioned the rails, and that's two. Okay, this is going good. Filling in each shulker took about 2 hours, and there were a few hiccups where I ended up getting hit and having to reset a couple times. But overall, this strategy of loading up the shulkers ended up working pretty well. Just a lot of grinding. Okay, that's 432 shulkers loaded into this switch. Now I just have to remove every single one from its minecart. Great. This took another hour on its own, but while doing it, I came up with an idea that's gonna save me a ton of time for the other switches in the nether and the end. But anyway, once I finished, the new and improved overworld mob switch was officially complete. All right, done. That is all the minecarts removed, and now the switch should be fully operational. So we should be good to get started building the tower around it. But first, before we get building, I want to cover all of the gaps in between each shulker container just to make it look a little bit nicer. It's going to be a lot harder to do if I build the tower around it first, since there's so many weird little gaps. So let's grab some sea lanterns and some white concrete to start. We'll keep it pretty simple. There's no reason to go super detailed or anything like that. Okay, yeah, I think this design looks good. It keeps all the shulkers visible, and with the light in the back, it kind of highlights them without adding any other details that would like take away from the function of the building. But I am out of sea lanterns, and if I'm gonna build this for 2 more of these towers, I'm gonna need a lot. So I'll turn off the old mob switch because it's been running this entire time. Head over to the Guardian farm, and I'll run this thing until I have enough sea lanterns to cover me for the rest of the project. I AFK'd the farm for a few hours and then finished filling in the remaining gaps. And needless to say, the switch is now looking quite spiffy. And now I'm finally ready to actually decorate the thing. So I gotta get all the materials for this big tower, and there really isn't enough materials to warrant building a full cube loader machine. So I think I'll just grab some chests and set them up with some item frames to just organize all the materials for the build. Okay, now we can get the materials, and first we need a ton of copper, like 3 shulker boxes worth, so. Okay, that's the copper done, which was honestly the hardest thing to get. So I was able to get the rest of the stuff from my base: deep slate brick slabs, normal and polished andesite, deep slate tile walls, polished deep slate stairs, pretty much every single type of deep slate block if I'm being honest, a few blackstone items, some tough stuff, and last but not least, shroom lights, which I don't have a farm for. So I went out into the nether to grab them, and luckily I didn't really need too many for this switch, so it only took a minute. Okay, that's everything we need for the tower. Let's organize it in these chests. Okay, there we go. Now I'll start with just building the base of the tower here, meeting up at the mob switch, because I want to detail the inside of the bottom before going up any further. Okay, that's kind of the first part of the tower done. Now what I want to do is on the inside here and around here, I want to detail it so it looks a little bit like the modernized inside here, and I can get up there. And I also need to make it so it's easily accessible from the outside, and I also want it to kind of blend into the mountain a little bit more. And I think I'll start by trying to make it blend into the mountain. So let's get rid of this beacon. Okay, and I'll dig out a path from here over into this direction, but I need to actually do some terraforming first so that I can, you know, actually have a path that gets up to the front here. Okay, let's grab a bunch of dirt, some grass, some stone. I'll grab some gravel for a path, and that should be all we need to do this terraforming. Okay, and I'll start here by building out kind of a an extension of the cliff so that I can have an actual walkway to get into the tower. So yeah, this looks good, and I'll just cut away here to try to give off that illusion a little bit more. Let me put this stuff back, and I'll kind of, let's try to find a good shape here. That seems pretty good. Oh, you know what? I definitely need to set up a beacon though. Let's build another one of those pylons, like the ones at base up here. I can probably put it just over here, I believe. Okay, there we go. Nice. Now I should be able to cut this away easily. Okay, now we can build this path, finally. I'll just dig one out, go into the base of the tower, or build the path itself with this randomized pattern. Line the edges with these stairs and some mangrove. This is good. Now we can finish up the inside. I had an idea in my head of what I wanted the lobby to look like, but I didn't design it beforehand, so I was kind of just winging it here. I just started with a very bare bones sea lantern base for the walls and floor, and then outlined it all with polished deep slate and some glass. I didn't really like how it was looking though, so I decided just to leave it here like this for now and get to work building up the rest of the tower. And this is the part I was most excited for. When coming up with ideas for the tower, I started with the theme. I tried to think of something that matched the utility of the machine itself, and my brain instantly jumped to the Citadel shell from Half-Life 2. Not the actual tower itself, but a component of the tower that the characters mentioned throughout the story called the suppression field. And what this suppression field did was cast some massive energy field over the Earth that stopped the formation of certain proteins in the human body, rendering reproduction impossible. And this was so the interdimensional empire of the Combine could more easily control and subjugate the human population, blah, 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 blah. But this concept gave me an idea for the design of the mob switch towers. A massive array producing an energy field of some kind, blanketing the entire dimension that it's in, rendering the spawn of any hostile mobs impossible. Now, what this array would look like was another challenge. At first, I drew inspiration from the Covenant deployment spires from Halo Reach. These things, they generate these massive shield domes around them and fit the general shape I was thinking of in my head, but the design was a little bit too alien and wouldn't really fit in with my world. But then I remembered another tower from a Bungie game that I instantly knew would be perfect for this thing. The Spire of the Watcher from Destiny 2. This was some big military installation on Mars or something like that, I don't remember, but the design was perfect for the mob switch towers. The cross at the top here serving as the perfect piece of design language indicating how this tower worked. And oh, does it look amazing. And if you're seeing all this and thinking, damn, I would really love to build something like that in my world. Well, you can by becoming a patron today. Not only do you help support the channel so I can get more videos out to you guys, but you also get access to all my schematics for all my decorative builds and instant access to a download for the entire world itself. So become a patron today and become instantly a better person than everyone who isn't. It's really that easy. Okay, shameless plug over. I added a couple more details to wrap up the top of the tower and we are done. That is the first tower complete. Holy shit, this thing looks sick. One more little thing to do though. I want to build a way to access the top of the tower if I weren't wearing Elytra. And also this lobby design is not the move. So let me really quickly tear the entire thing down and build a much nicer design like this. Yeah, this looks significantly better. I want to build some water elevators now so I can get up to the top. So I need some kelp and some bone meal. I'll build up to the top with some glass. And there we go. Now we have water elevators. So to turn on the switch, we just need to chunk load it with an ender pearl like this. Just like the other one, leave that there. And now no matter where we are in the overworld, these guys will be loaded and it should work. And we got a crazy view up here. All right, now we just got to build 2 more of them. And next we'll do the nether. Okay, and the switch I currently have is way over there, but it's a little bit too close to the Wither Skeleton farm. So if I'm at 32 render distance while over there, it will always be loading that thing. So I have to change my render distance to run the farm and I don't want that. So I'm going to move it way up here and make sure it's completely out of range of these farms here. So let's see how far up we have to go. Okay, I think this should be far enough. What is this guy doing out here? How'd you even get over here? All right, now I just build up the same little loading mechanism that we had in the overworld, but this one's gonna be a little bit different to try to do this a little bit faster. Okay, done. That was significantly easier to set up, and the strategy here, as you can kind of see, is we bring up the shulkers just like we did before with the timer, and they drop down into this chute. I'll be waiting at the bottom. I'll break the minecart and replace the block above it, and then the next one will come in, drop down, break the minecart again, place the block above it, and repeat. And then once the entire tube here is full, I'll fix this rail, go to the next one, and continue. So I'm gonna extend the timer here a little bit to give me some more time for when I have to switch, but this should be more than enough. Now I just need to build a bridge all the way from here to there. That's pretty long. With the little shulker rail line set up, I set up some 1x1 boxes for wild spots so that the minecarts would remain loaded in, and we should be good to go. Now, in order to load this thing, I need a bunch of junk building blocks like this, and then a bunch of glass. All right, let's go. Summon in our bots to load the chunks. Got them here, there, and down there. Okay, just need to grab 16 more shulker boxes of minecarts. Start up the timer. Okay, first one, break this, do this. Boom. Do this. The second one comes in. Oh, this is perfect timing. Okay, good. Gives me just enough buffer room in case I, mess something up. Like that. And that guy just teleported. It's not ideal. All good, though. We just replace him. So I probably don't want him detecting me. So maybe I want to stand like this. Yeah, because then he's not going to detect me. I do that. One block, then replace that, and then do it again. Okay, that's good. And that's pretty much the whole deal. And now when I tell you this was easier than the overworld mob switch, I mean this was way easier. I think the overworld took maybe 5 hours in total. That's the setup, loading the shulkers, and then breaking all of the minecarts. While this entire process took maybe slightly over an hour and was way harder to screw up. Like I'd have to really not be paying attention here to miss a shulker and have to like reposition stuff, which happened a couple times. But still, way easier overall. Okay, that's pretty much all the shulkers loaded in, but I had some hiccups, so we have a few empty pockets, and some of these guys teleported out. Let's remove all this. Okay, we just need 5 minecarts. Throw them in here, and I gotta maneuver quickly here, so I don't have to keep making these trips. All right, one more shulker that I missed. Wait, what happened to this guy? Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll leave most of the rail here for now, just in case I'm blind somehow and I'm missing another shulker somewhere that I just haven't noticed yet. But that should do it for the switch itself. And now, just like with the overworld, let's get all the materials to build the tower. All 3 towers are going to be the same shape, like the one in the overworld, but have different color palettes and details to match the dimension they're in. And so to match the nether theme for this tower, I wanted to line the inside with shroom lights instead of sea lanterns. But as I mentioned before, I don't have a farm for this yet, and I did some rough math, and it was going to take me longer to build and run a farm than if I just gathered the lights manually. So I spent a couple hours knocking out some nether forests to get as many of the blocks as I could. Okay, I've been doing this for like an hour and I've got 11 stacks and some change. That's like 4 more hours of grinding if I want to completely backlight the switch with shroom lights. So let me try something else. First, let me grab a happy ghast, and I'll just replace the middle part here with shroom lights to start, and I might be able to do something on the sides without having to use so many of these. By substituting in orange concrete on the sides and only using the shroom lights for directly behind the shulkers, I was able to save like 60% of them, and it still ended up looking pretty good. And then it'll look a lot better when I put the concrete in between these things as well. Let's just fill out this whole thing. I was able to fill out like 50% of the switch before running out of shroom lights, but I knew pretty much how long it would take to get the rest of them. So I locked in, knocked down another forest, and finished filling in the rest of the switch. With the inside of the switch complete, I wasted no time and immediately got to work gathering the rest of the materials. And of course, to continue the nether theme, I grabbed a bunch of items with dark and red tones, mangrove blocks, coal blocks, netherrack, a bunch of deep slate things, a bunch of blackstone things, and okay, that's all the materials needed to build the tower. Let's get to work. Okay, that's the outside of the tower done, and I'm pretty confident I can get rid of this track here now. So let me do that really quick. And now, of course, I gotta build the inside, so we need more items, just like for the overworld, but it's gonna be themed a little bit differently. So I need even more shroom lights. Great. So that's one more nether forest erased, and then I just need a few more basic items. Okay, that's everything. This lobby, I'm giving a nether theme as well, still keeping the White Cliff logo in the back though, and replacing the water elevators with ladders, because, you know, no water in the nether. Okay, we're almost done with the nether tower. Last thing I gotta do is build a nether portal chunk loader in the back of the lobby here. So let's put that together. Okay, turn it on, and I don't think it's working. I may have built it backwards. What the hell? Where'd the minecart go? Oh, you know what? Wait, I thought it may have been sent back. Where's the minecart? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I did still build it backwards though. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. And boom. Okay, it's working. Nice. Okay, and that is the nether side complete. Let's take this happy ghast, grab all our stuff, put this guy back here, and throw all the leftover items back in storage. And actually, now that we've replaced the old switches with the new ones, we can go ahead and destroy these two. This might take a second though. Probably gonna get attacked. Okay, that's the overworld. And now we're just gonna do the nether one too. And that's another one gone. Nice. Okay, now we just have one more switch to build, which is, of course, the mob switch for the end. And even though the end is the home of the shulkers, transporting all the ones we're going to need for the switch is going to be a little bit more complicated than it was for the other two. This nether portal right here goes to the stronghold, so I'll break this one, and I'll rebuild it up here on the same Y level as the shulker farm. Okay, let's make sure it's all connected. All right, good. Now, if I push a minecart through, how does it look? Where does it come out? Okay, it's like right... Wait, is that here? And did I push it? I don't think the cart had enough forward momentum. Let's try that. Nope, it's just facing the wrong direction. Great. Okay, good. And then right there to stop the minecart. So I should come off this rail, go through, And then go into the end. Okay, nice. Now, the problem here is I could put a rail right here for the minecart to attach to and then take it wherever I need to go. But every time something teleports into the end, this platform here and any blocks on top of it get immediately reset. It just deletes it from the game. So if I were to load the 400 shulkers I need to bring in through this, I would have to do it one at a time instead of having the automated system I've been using this whole time. So I needed to come up with a new plan to get the shulkers into the end and then into the switch. My first idea was to bring all the shulkers into the dimension and then move them into the switch, storing them temporarily in holding cells until I had all 432 and then moving them one at a time. I want to build the switch way out here near the outer islands to make sure it stays clear of the future space station build. So I'll start by building a bridge that I can use to transport the shulkers over. I ran back to base and grabbed a bunch of netherrack and rail supplies and got to work on the bridge. After setting up the initial line in the middle, I built out the little holding cells that I would keep the shulkers in while moving them into the end, and I configured the rails in a way that would make them automatically switch directions after a minecart passed over them so that I could load a shulker into a cell and then automatically load the next shulker into the next cell. This way I could just sit on the spawning platform, keeping the chunks loaded with some ender pearl stasis chambers and placing down new rails every time a shulker came through. Then I could just, break the rails, pick them up before the next shulker comes through, and then rinse and repeat the process until I'm done. Pretty simple. What could go wrong? Okay, finally done with all the setup. Let's start the loading process. Okay, here's our first shulker. Let's put a minecart down and oh crap. Okay, push them in. Bro, really? I'm starting to think this may not work. Let me give it a couple more tries.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, this idea fucking sucks. I need a new plan. I tried thinking of something that could move the shulkers off the spawning platform without my involvement so the shulkers wouldn't shoot at me. If only there was something in the game that was infinite and could automatically replenish itself no matter how much of it was destroyed. Water. The answer to my problem is water. Just a couple sources in the back that automatically flow and push the minecart onto the track and send it to wherever I want it to go. Yeah, I'm an idiot for not having thought of this sooner. And I built this entire setup for nothing. Great. So I tore the entire thing down, and now I could just as easily transport the shulkers in the same way I did for the other two switches, minus 8 hours. I built up another loading array the same way I did in the nether, and loaded in all the shulkers. Nice. Finally. Okay, finally. The end switch should pretty much be done. I just gotta clear out the rest of these shulkers and turn off the machine. Turn this off. Kill this dude. Kill all of these dudes too. There's a ton of these guys down here. All right, we'll start the decorating just how we did in the overworld with the sea lanterns kind of covering the backside. The inside's not gonna be the same as the overworld though, just the sea lantern bits. With that finished, I gathered up all the materials for the rest of the tower, going with a much lighter theme this time to get a little bit closer to the end color palette, but still keeping my modern look. After collecting everything, I set up a beacon to make the building process a little easier, and now it's time to knock out the final spire. Okay, almost done. Just gotta polish the top off here. And there we have it. The final mob switch is complete. And since we're in the end, I can just load the chunk with an ender pearl, which is nice. We got the lobby, all the shulkers are present, and there's not a single enderman anywhere in the dimension. Not a single hostile mob anywhere in the nether, and of course, not a single mob anywhere in the overworld. Now with these 3 towers finally complete, I am permanently free from the harassment and annoyance of every skeleton, zombie, and creeper forever. Okay, now I can get to work on a real project.